So they compel nicely, persuasively, sometimes by coercion, to become digitalized. With the clients, the word distinguished, and so it's default plus the high end. Another level is the digitalization, and I have to stop at it. Digitalization started years earlier, when it was not mandated by regulator, it's not a must, but what we have to realize with this pandemic is that you should always be prepared to read the future. You should always take the risk of disrupting business models and seeing new ways of doing business. And that was the take of CIB, that it prepared for the ESG and digitization years earlier. Right now, CIB is not only absorbing the shock, CIB is still growing. So CIB donated something like 150 million pounds to Tahya Masr and to Federation of Egyptian Banks to redress different challenges that were caused by the pandemic. CIB went even regional, donating $350 million to the African Union and to Kenya. So you are expanding and you're supporting beyond your territories. For the first time, an Egyptian private sector bank launches a green bond that was attempted in June 2020. Right now it's being wrapped up. So the ESG gave you this power to withstand the pandemic, the shock, and to continue to create value to your community, to the environment, to your shareholders. We're still growing. So that's the take. It's preparing and eyeing the ESG plus digitization, because I think digitization is the operational arm of the ESG. It's about financial inclusion, it's about renewable energy, it's about not having to commute to branches, saving carbon. So that's the story of CIB, and that's how it's interpreted and practiced resilience.
Thank you, Dalia, and I attest to that, because your ex-chairman was a visionary in that point in putting CIB, leading it as an international bank, as a global bank, and hence he looked at it globally rather than just being the leading bank in Egypt.
Best emerging bank, I mean, it took this award a couple of times.
And I believe this whole concept of transformation into a branchless bank, that was the objective. So I understand where you're coming from, saying that you were almost prepared on many fronts when this hit, but I think this will also elevate the experiences going into the future. The question I'll say with you just on this point, because as one of the leading banks in Egypt, you would be one of the leading lenders for corporates, new ventures, new businesses, new projects. And we see globally around the world what's happening is that the financial sector, led probably by the central banks of these, or federal banks of these countries, starting to put obligations on the financial institutions on the terms and conditions of their lending, related in a sense to climate change and sustainability. How has that been? Because people sometimes, when we say chief sustainability officer, think it's again just dealing with the employees of or the organization itself.